Welcome back to another video, and today we will be discussing the newest makeup releases and announcements. So welcome back, and after a bit of a break we are doing a makeup news video. So reason why we haven't done this video is that usually with my filming schedule I only do this like every second week, so I don't do this weekly, and because there was a weekend when I knew that I wasn't going to be filming, there's been a bit of a longer break with this one. But we are back with the sort of normally scheduled program, and I think it's just that good that we sort of jump in directly with the products that have been announced. And because there's been like such a big gap, I did have to do some picking and choosing. So this is definitely, well, not as always because there are so many makeup releases these days, but especially with this video, there's definitely some products that I immediately said that I will just not like skip them, and I try to like focus on the products that I have found like most interesting from the last, I think, almost now three or 4 weeks time span. So, the theme of this video is probably also going to be that there's some products here that I have bought, so either I already have them or they're on their way for me. But first one, something that I already have. So this is the Kaima Cosmetics has come out with a new palette. I have the palette already. I have actually like, it's been on my rotation. I have a swatch video, shorts of it in my channel and somewhere in my drawers. I'm not gonna go pick it up, but this is the Boujee Boudoir Neutral Glam Eyeshadow Palette, and this was sort of very sneaky release because I didn't like, I think the brand owner might have hinted that she is coming out with a new palette, but I was still pretty like surprised when suddenly it was announced that hey, this is available, and it was like, okay, I'm buying that one. We all know that the Skulls and Roses palette, that was the first palette that I tried from this brand, that I did declutter because I did feel that some of the shimmer formulas did have some issues with them and it wasn't the primary color story. However, I can already say now, since this has been on my favorite rotation, that there's definitely been improvement with this palette formula of this particular palette. And yeah, this will be in my collective eyeshadow palette review at some point, but I'm not sure did this already sell out, because this is truly like a I think one woman like run brand, so I don't think they are able to get that much stock in time. But I think you're able to, if it's not in stock, you can sort of like subscribe to pre-order or something. But I do say that there's been like, I'm pretty happy to see that there's been improvement from the last palette's formula, and also I do think that this is a pretty nice twist on neutral sort of color story. Then another one, so another liquid blush. So there is still a lot of blushes coming out, and we will be seeing a couple of in this video. So Anastasia Beverly Hills released their blurring serum blushes, and they have had cream blushes in stick format before, but now they're doing the sort of liquid blushes in tubes. I'm gonna be a bit of a mean person and say, but the packaging of this looks a bit cheap. So the packaging doesn't look like the sort of, because ABH is considered like, it is definitely a high-end brand in terms of pricing, but the packaging unfortunately with this one kind of looks like it's something from a drugstore brand. And these, I haven't seen these available yet on our ABH. Is a brand that's quite widely stocked also in our like makeup retailers, but I'm not sure have I actually seen these in store yet. But it says that the dollar price of these is going to be $25 each, so I think in my country there's usually a bit of a price hike, so it's probably going to be somewhere between 25 and 30 euros. But unfortunately, just for packaging, like I'm not going to pay ABH prices because there are like so many good liquid blushes that I already own, and because the packaging is kind of not giving the sort of high-end vibes that the pricing indicates, I think this is going to be an easy skip for me. Then another ABH product, this is a shade extension, so she came out with more pinkish, I'd say pinkish neutral shades to her liquid lipstick formula. I think this has been quite a popular formula. So these shades, I actually do think the shade extension of these shades, I think I have seen in our retailer. So these should already be available, and if you especially like if you like this formula and you wanted some more pink leaning shades in with the formula, it's already like available. Then a indie release that I was very umming and ahhing about, am I going to buy these? So Cosmic Brushes, which is a sort of, has my favorite eyeshadow formula, especially considering like matte, sort of colorful matte shades from indie brands. So they released two new palettes, so Nudetrals and Cooltrals are the two palettes. So there's one that's sort of a spicy, I think spicy neutral palette is a term that I've seen used a lot in social media, and then there's a cool toned palette. The Cool Toned palette, if it would have had only the upper row of lilac and mauve shades with some other maybe truly like neutral leaning cool tone shades, then maybe I would have gotten it, but because the rose there's like a sort of columns of rose below are very blue leaning, I immediately knew that that's definitely I'm not gonna order it, because the over half of the shades are still the kind of shades that I don't gravitate towards. The Neutrals palette, which is the sort of warm toned one, this is actually something that I am still on the fence about. Am I gonna order this at some point? I don't think this is a product that or release that sold out, so this is a release that they was available on their own website, and it was also released in Monolith Shop's launch, which it was at the end of June. So there was actually like a couple of places that I could get this from, but I don't think either of these have yet sold out. But I'm still a bit on 50-50. The cool tone palette definitely out because as I said, there's too many blues there for me, but the warm neutral palette, kind of still thinking that maybe if it's something that I could at some point get. So then Charlotte Tilbury, and we have more blushes, but there are also something else. So Charlotte actually had 2 releases, so she now released a stick foundation. So this is Unreal Skin Sheer Glow Tint, and I have seen a few reviews of this one. I think the sort of, if you want a glowier foundation, then the foundation stick, it could be something, but it is definitely, I have seen now quite many YouTubers using it. It's definitely a glowy foundation. For example, for me, the foundation stick, I couldn't wear this one, it's too glowy. And then she released the sort of Iceland Glow Lip and Cheek cream blushes, and this is a formula she has come out with before in 2 shades, and now she came out with, I think, more shades, and I don't know, did she do some reformulation? Again, the shades, like, they are quite on the like hot reddish side when I'm looking at them, and I think this is just not it. Yeah, and also the blushes are like 40. So the foundation stick is $46 US, which is quite a lot for a foundation stick, which is usually a product, at least from my experience, the few foundation sticks that I have tried is that those actually, I use up those quite quickly, and similarly, like $46 US is quite a lot. And also, like, the cream blush is like $40 US. I'm just, yeah, no. This is a skip for me. If you're a big Charlotte Tilbury fan, this is already available on her website. Then another indie release, so Davini Beauty came out with a new palette. So this is the Current C palette, and I'm thinking that I think this is gonna be, I think Monolith Shop has said that if you live within Europe and you want to order from a European retailer, I think this might come to their July launch. I haven't seen yet what is the specific date of the July launch, but I do think this is coming. For me, this is a skip because while it is a colorful palette, it is quite heavy primary and especially deeper color, like jewel toned colors. So for me, the tones of the colors in this one are wrong, but you can get this on their website, but if you live in Europe, I would maybe wait for Monolith Shop to stock this one, so you do save in terms of shipping. Then we had a release from P. Louise, so I did post a video, I think now a few, like, well, when you're seeing this, I think there's already like a week from it, but if you want to sort of hear my experience and why I have been keeping quiet about this brand, you can go and watch that video, but because I have now resolved my issues with the brand, I am like happy to cover it again. So they came out with their Picnic collection, and as always with P. Louise's, there's a lot in this collection. So first of all, there's a set of these bread themed eyeshadow palettes, and initially when I saw that weight, they said that the palette price was I think around £30, and I was like, that £30 for like a 4-pan eyeshadow palette from P. Louise, when on their website you can, I think, get from palettes with 8 shades, like palettes with 8 shades for less. I was like thinking that what is happening, but actually you do get all the palettes in one. The palettes in the picture, you will get them in sort of one like bread loaf type of packaging, so it's from the £30 from the whole set of the like all the palettes, so it's not them individually, and that's already kind of, then I was like that, okay, yeah, that makes much more sense in terms of pricing. Then there's a highlighter palette, which I was like, which you will be seeing on the like image. I will do a compilation of the products that I'm discussing. So with the highlighter palette, I was like really thinking that I don't need this. I don't need a big pink lilac highlighter palette, but I kind of do want this one because it has such a beautiful pink and lilac toned shimmer shades. But like, this is a product that I will be like resisting to the end, that I won't put this into an order, but This is kind of like one of those products that I really wanted, but it's like, you don't need this big, first of all, you don't need this big of a highlighter palette, and most likely, like, not all of the shades will, there isn't going to be a single person that's going to be able to wear all of the shades, because the deeper shades will definitely be too deep for a person like me, and then the more fair shades, those probably won't suit anyone with a medium to any deeper skin tone, so. But it's still very pretty because it has the kind of tones that I do prefer, so yeah. Then there was a tin box with cream blushes, and I believe this is a sort of a soft launch of a new product. So they do have cream bronzers that they launch in this kind of compact formula, I think in somewhere before, I think June, I think it might have been in May, if I'm not mistaken. And now I think, because now so what's a bit crappy, you can only buy this sort of one tin box and you have to like commit to buying all of the blushes. So the blushes, I do believe that what will happen, and what will often happen with P. Louise, is that we will be getting these blushes individually with more shades at some point, but this is sort of like a soft launch to maybe see that what kind of feedback people will give about the formula. But if you want to try these out, there is like now a new, she has now yet again another kind of blush formula. P. Louise is known for doing that. They have quite a lot of like different formulations for the same kind of product. But for now you have to commit to buying them, like all three of them together, if you like want to try this out. They were pretty like, this again was something I was contemplating, do I really want to get, but then I was like thinking that I just did my cheap product declutter, and I think like if I would have been able to buy one of these individually, then it would have been cool, but committing to adding 3 new cream blushes to my collection, I was thinking that yeah, I can't do that. Then something that I am a bit curious about, and maybe considering that I will put into an order that I will make. So they have sort of cheek highlighters in the sort of similar puffy format that Charlotte Tilbury has made known. And there is a few, like, there's one very nice iridescent pink shade within these sort of wand highlighters that I'm kind of eyeing. You can also buy the whole set, but I'm pretty happy that at least with the highlighter, the brand is not forcing to buy the whole set of them, because you don't need like all of the shades of these like liquid highlighters at one. Like you can pick the shade that suits you the best. So yeah, but with these ones you can buy them individually. You don't have to buy them in set, which is pretty good. And what else? I think those were all the ones. There were also some like skincare stuff, which P. Louise is also now seems to be coming out with a lot, that she now seems to include skincare in her launches, but those were, I think, the sort of main makeup products that I want to highlight from this collection. This is already these are available. Then I will cover like all the Fenty products in one. So first of all, the Gloss Bomb is now in a new shade. So this is the what is the shade name of this? What is this? Major Fleck Gloss Bomb Lip Luminizer Limited Edition in a gunmetal shade. So this is a shade that's definitely not made for my particular skin tone, but actually I do think there's a model here with this more in the like, I think she's like a light skin tone, but I do think on a more deeper skin tone this is gonna look very beautiful. If you want a gunmetal gloss, like you're free to of course wear like any kind of shades that you want, but for me personally this is not a shade that I would want in a lip gloss, but I do know there's probably gonna be a lot of people that this is gonna look very pretty in, and it is pretty like unique, I will give them that. Then the second Fenty release that I will be discussing, and this is something that I believe if you have followed Angel Naked's one account, I think this is one of those products that was leaked, and I'm still waiting when are the blushes gonna come out that we have seen also. Not the summer collection blushes, but the sort of main line blushes that Angel Naked did show during the springtime, because we haven't seen the announcement of those, but we did now see the announcement of these ones. So these are the Gloss Bomb Stix High Shine Glosses. So these are apparently, I asked from our Fenty consultant, and I think these are probably going to be launching the week you will be seeing this video posted, and these I think are the same shades that are in the sort of Gloss Bomb creamy formula, or are these actually shades that are in the liquid lipsticks? No, I think these might be actually in the shades that are liquid lipsticks, if I'm not mistaken. There could be also some new shades. I'm kind of thinking that Is It Fuzzy looks kind of nice. I'm a bit on the fence, am I gonna get these? I am kind of thinking that I would like to try one, because I do like Fenty products, and Fenty is one of those brands that they actually launch everything everything at the same time in most of their retailers, so these are not products that I first launch in the US and then I have to like wait for 2 or 3 months for them to launch here where I live in. But yeah, I'm gonna go actually see in store and see how much are these gonna cost. $25 US, so they're probably gonna be 27 euros. There's usually a bit of a hike. I don't need another lip product, but I do want to try these out. So probably, if I'm not buying these this month, because I assume these are staple line products for Fenty, I will probably buy these in the future. But yeah, those were the sort of Fenty releases for this week. Another product that I don't have this one yet, I will be getting it on the week when this video is posted. So Blend Bunny announced their new palette. So this is the, I believe Longing was the name of this palette, and this is going to be in competition with the Ensler Rain palette of being probably one of my favorite color stories of the years. I haven't tried this out yet. It could be like, we do know for example that with the Pretty Grunge palette that I was thinking was going to be my favorite palette. We all know that the formula of that one didn't work out for me. I ended up decluttering that one. However, I did get the pastel palette from Blend Bunny as a Christmas present, and with that one it had the same good formula that the Dollhouse palette had. So if this has the same good formula that the Sickly Sweet and Dollhouse palette has, then we are definitely, this is in competition with the Ensler Rain palette, because I can already just say based on the, like, I have already seen like videos of this one, swatches of this one, and because this was available on Monolith Shop's June launch, this was the second product that I got. The other product that I got from that launch was the Unearthly's, God, I always forget. It was the Heat something palette. The very spicy, warm-toned, bright palette that Unearthly came out with. But this is the second palette that's coming to me. But yeah, but I will of course like test out the formula. And as with the Blend Bunny, as I said, I also have had experiences where the formula hasn't matched. But so far, pretty excited about this one, and I hope I will be able to try this out soon. But my package should be here, I think, on Monday or Tuesday, so I will be able to try it out. But beautiful, like if you love your cool tones, and this is again, I think, for a good palette, that if you are a person who likes neutrals and you want to dip into colorful shades, but you don't want to have like super colorful shades, then I think this is going to be one of those palettes because it has some of the more sort of like neutral colorful shades, and there are actually some neutrals in this one, so this is a perfect palette for those people also. Okay, so another brand we are doing like all 3 products in like one. So Glamshop during the couple of like almost now months time has been busy. So first of all, they have come out with a new foundation. So this is the VIP Foundation, and I have actually tried one Glamshop foundation. The only bit of an issue with Glamshop is that because they cater towards olive tones, light to fair, olive toned skin tones, which is pretty good because I do know that a lot of people who have an olive undertone, they do have difficulties finding foundation matches for them. So I have tried one of their foundations in the past and I did like the formula. It looks pretty. The only issue was that it wasn't a complete match. I did use a bit of a powder that actually did have a bit of white cast to it to make it like match to my skin tone. But this could be a foundation that I could be interested in trying. Apparently it is supposed to have light but gradual coverage coupled with instant smoothing. So I do think that if it's a light but gradual coverage, I do think that this might be something like building up to medium coverage, which sounds actually like something that I would like, but yeah. So that was the first one, and then the second thing that came in the same launch was this one. So this is the tree highlighting, new palette featuring 3 highlighting powders. So this has a very, I'd say, neutral leaning. I do think these are like highlighting or maybe like those like sort of hourglass duping finishing powders, because they are pretty like muted. I saw the swatches of this one and these aren't like anything like, if you look for super blinding highlighters, this palette isn't, so it's more, I'd say, like a soft highlighting, maybe some like finishing powders. This is not something that I would be interested in because the 2 other shades, which are more in the side like medium skin tones and even to maybe some like tan skin tones, those would not suit me. But yeah, that's also came up with the foundation. And then they actually did come out with a new, because I was thinking that are they going to come out with a big palette for summer? They have usually come out with one big palette in summertime, and they actually did. So this is the, what is this name? We present you another batch of novelties, and that is what's in style. So multicolor palette in proposition of fairy tale shades that you can conjure up. Okay, great, there's no shade names in this one. So actually the Polish name of this is MULTIKOLOR. So it is apparently called MULTIKOLOR. So this is apparently like, there was actually some colored mascara and a lip gloss in this one, but I'm just gonna mainly focus on the palette. Like, so this is a festival themed palette, and there seems to be like altogether 3 iridescent topper shades, which are very trendy usually with festival makeup on the sort of upper row. And then you have some neutral mixed with some blue toned and purple shades in this one. For me, this isn't like this, for my preferences, this lacks a bit of cohesion, because for me this is a bit mismatchy, that this has some warm tone neutrals, and then you have some iridescent stuff, and then you have some blues, and then there's some pop of bright, I think, golden yellow with one of the like chunkier shimmer shades. So for me this is not a style of color story that I prefer, but if this is the kind of color story that you do like, and especially if you're looking for a good European indie brand, I would actually like gear you towards Glamshop, and the pricing of these is very reasonable. I think these are, in euros, the palettes are, bigger palettes are around 36 to 40 euros. I haven't checked there. I do believe they may have also had to be forced to like raise their product prices a bit, but still I'd say that these are more on the reasonable side, especially if you're shopping indie brands within Europe. But yeah, those were the sort of Glamshop releases for the day. Colourpop has also been pretty busy. I'm just gonna feature the one that did, I think, kinda got them not maybe so also positive attention. So Colourpop has released new liquid blushes, and I do believe why these sort of did get better crap was that people thought these were like too close to the Rare Beauty ones, because obviously when you see the packaging compact, this is pretty spot on with the Rare Beauty, and I think someone said in their makeup news video that these they may have even like matched the shade with the Rare Beauty blushes. So not only did they come out with the sort of very similar packaging, but they didn't like make like unique enough shades, so people are thinking that some of these look a bit too close to Rare Beauty ones. Colourpop is a US-based brand that shipping takes quite a long time, and I no longer, there was some point where because the makeup selection was quite limited to what I could like get, so there was a time and place when I did order from Colourpop from States, but it's not something that I want to do today, because now there's much more stuff that's more easily accessible. I can't of course comment on that in terms of formula or finish, are these anywhere near for Rare Beauty, because also Rare Beauty is actually a brand that while you can get it from most European countries, especially those that have Sephora, my country doesn't have Sephora, and Rare Beauty is actually one of those brands that is a bit harder to get, so I can't like make the comparison that how close these are to the Rare Beauty shades, but if you like Colourpop is accessible to you and you want to try something maybe less expensive, then maybe give these a go. Colourpop's formulas are usually pretty good, but yeah, I can understand why some people think that they could I don't mind if a sort of drugstore brand does a sort of like a more inexpensive option from a higher end product that gives a similar finish, but I would wish that then the drugstore brand that they would do their sort of own unique spin on the packaging, so it's not like too close to being a complete copycat, because not everyone can spend enormous amounts of money on makeup, and it is good that people have the option to also do something less expensive that gives a similar finish, but maybe don't make the packaging and even the shades like completely identical. But yeah, that was the sort of Colourpop release I wanted to mention. There has been like other releases too, but I think that was the one that I thought was worth mentioning. Another indie release, so Nomad Cosmetics have finally released their summer palette. So this is the Beachy and Peachy palette, and I believe this was inspired by Florida because they do their palettes based on destinations. This is a bit too bright for me, like, and especially because this has been also the more kind of jewel toned leaning colorful shades. So this was a skip for me, but if these are your colors and you like Nomad, then this is also already available on their website. Some luxury releases, so we have now seen Dior's fall collection, and this has some lipsticks. I do think there might be a powder compact, and then we have some quints. We all know that after the last Christmas holiday quints, which were not impressing me in terms of quality, I'm not touching to another Dior quint, especially with the quints prices even with a longer stick. The lipstick shades are kind of nice. They are like neutral colors, though I would say that maybe Dior already has similar like lip colors to these. If I would like have to choose one quint from like all of these. I think the most interesting one might, well, not actually like interesting one, but would be like Champs Elysees, which, yeah, it's a bit neutral leading, but there is kind of like one burgundy shade, but yeah, the packaging is like nice, and this is, I think, very Dior-esque what they usually come out with their collection, but with this one there's nothing like considering that I was a bit more excited about the stuff they came out in summer, the fall collection so far is not something that I'm interested in. More liquid blushes. So YSL is finally jumping to a train of liquid blushes, and so far these have been images. I think these have been a bit like leaks beforehand, so I don't know when these are actually gonna start trickling down to retailers. So far, some of the shades actually, when I did, from what I have seen, some of these actually do kind of look a bit interesting. There's a one like very yellow leaning one, and then there's a one that's almost like a bit of a white one, but I assume that one that's looking a bit white on the picture is actually a bit pink leaning. So, and these kind of look like matte blushes based at least on the finishes on the tube. So matte liquid blushes coming from YSL, but don't know yet. I think these might come out in fall, but I haven't seen like official announcement of these in terms of release date yet. More high-end, so Hourglass is coming out with liquid blushes, and this was another product that people were like that wait, Dennis Marwick's had a, I believe it was some kind of primer product, mattifying primer product that's in a similar packaging. Well, in makeup industry, if you have watched like any sort of industry experts talking, usually the packaging is something that brands buy from like packaging manufacturers, so you can get the sort of similar, there's like a lot of like these sort of like pre-made packaging that usually brands use. On some brands might do a custom spin on them, but usually, especially if you want to save in terms of makeup production, then buying a sort of like a pre-made packaging is usually like the more one way you can cut cost of it. And of course usually brands do like kind of put their own spin, or as can they do some customization to it. But I can understand why people were like eyeing that, wait a minute, that this is looking very similar to Dennis Marwick's. However, this is a complete different product. So the Dennis Marwick's one is a sort of mattifying product, and this one is, Hourglass one is blushes. These are probably going to be hideously expensive. These are apparently meant to come out in July. I've actually seen these already on some retailers. I'm now actually considering that are these already available. If they're not yet available, they will be available soon. The shade range is pretty basic, and because it's in a dropper packaging, I assume this is going to be a very liquidy blush formula. So just maybe something to consider if you're thinking about buying these. But yeah, also the finish on the models, these do look to be on the glowier side. So yeah. Not something I'm getting out to buy, because these are probably going to be expensive, and these look to be on the more glowier side, and because I like my blushes to be on the matte or satin side, so yeah, it's a skip for me, and also these are going to be very expensive. Indie releases, so Glossgods came out with some Let's Pop collection palettes. So these are apparently meant to be palettes that are kind of like smaller versions of some of their color stories they have come out in bigger palettes. I have a pretty big Glossgods collection in terms of the palette, so this is a product that's not for me. I think that if you have been like, these are a very good product that if you have been eyeing the brand and you're thinking that you want to try out some of their color stories, but you don't want to commit into a big palette, and you maybe want to have a bit of the green shades and maybe a bit of the purple shades, then I think this is a pretty good product to get to know the brand for. But for someone who has a pretty big Glossgods collection, I do believe the shades might even be from their sort of existing palette, so I don't think all of these at least don't have unique shades to them. So for collectors, I don't think you will get anything new with this one, but if you're someone who wants to try out the brand and wants to start out maybe a bit small, I do think that this is actually a good way you could start out with them, and I'm definitely someone who can recommend the Glossgods quality. I have liked their palettes, eyeshadow palettes, quite a lot. Perhaps next an indie release that they're probably the only indie release that I'm thinking that I might want to buy when Monolith does their July launch, because so far it seems that all the pretty exciting palettes with Monolith shop were on their June launch, and so far the sneak peeks I have seen from their July launch doesn't seem to be like that many products that are catching my eye. But Gourmande Girl Cosmetics has released a new palette, and this is the Peach Perfect, and I have been saying quite often that I would wish that the Gourmande girls would come out with a color story that would appeal to me, because I did like the collaboration palette they did with Syria Soto, but so far the color stories they have come out with after that haven't been interesting. However, this is pretty interesting, and this is saying a lot because if you have watched my videos, I have always said the peach tones are nice, but they aren't like something that gets me excited, but these are peach tones that do get me excited. And this is a very, I'd say, when I'm looking at the color story, like, because this is especially now that I'm considering that when I'm probably gonna get this. So if this comes in the Monolith's July launch, and considering that there is like, I have a filming schedule and I do have a list of makeup that I'm trying, I'm most likely not gonna try this out immediately. So this is actually a palette that most likely I will be trying somewhere around the August if I'm gonna buy this, and on August we are already moving to the fall time, and this is actually like, in terms of color story, the perfect transition to like from summer months to the more like when we're starting to fall. So there's a bit of a sage green here, and there's like peach shades, but there is like a bit of variety, so it's not like just bright oranges or just like few pastel peaches. And their shimmers, I have seen like few influencers who have gotten this in PR, all the shimmers, there's a bit of a like spin to them, and yeah, so this is a peach palette that I'm definitely like on board with, because it's not just like I used to own the Colourpop 9 pan that was like purely, it just had like peach tones, but this is a peach palette that actually has like more to them than just peach colors, and yeah, pretty, this is at least a serious contender that this is something that I could buy. Then something that I'm definitely not buying. So Tarte has released their Tarte Lit Reflection 25-year anniversary Amazonian clay palette, and this definitely looks like every Tarte palette the brand has ever come out with. So it can actually make sense that this is their 25th anniversary palette, because this is nothing new from the brand. We have seen this from the brand like a dozen times before. If you like Tarte's quality, or you have thought that maybe you want to try this out, then if you want to try all the shades from the brand, then by all means just go and buy this one. I have always said that for me the Tarte's eyeshadow quality, because I have tried a couple of palettes from them, it is very decent. I'd say especially if you like your neutral makeup and you're someone who wants to have more control, and especially like a more buildable shadow formula, then Tarte's a pretty good one. And also Tarte shimmers are more, I'd say, friendlier, for example, if you have a lot of texture in your eyelids. So there's a market for this one, but for me this is a skip. I don't need this many shades in Tarte formula. I haven't seen this yet available, at least on the few European Sephoras that I follow, so I'm not sure when this is actually gonna make its way to European retailers, but this is actually saying when this is gonna, it says it's just dropped, so you can get this from at least Tarte's own website, and this will probably make it to Sephora's at some point. So another liquid blush release, MUA's brand Lunar Beauty came out with liquid blushes. I'm actually surprised that it did take this long for it. I mean, considering that Lunar Beauty is an indie brand, there's probably been that because it's a smaller brand, and it has to probably like, the bit of downside with indie brands usually is that the factories usually prioritize bigger makeup brands, because of course they get more money from the bigger brands, and then it can happen that the smaller brands that can like manufacture their formulas in the same places, it can happen that they can usually get a bit pushed down and anything. So it could be that this has been on the works for quite a long time, but Manny hasn't been able to get the stock out of the factories that quickly. But when are these going to be available? Because what does it say? There's actually not release date in this post. Damn. If these would come to Monolith shop, I might be able to. I don't need another liquid blush, but I have tried one Lunar Beauty palette, and I have been eyeing that I could actually try out one of their palettes to see how I like the brand, because I had one of their neutral palettes. It was the one that had the Medusa on the cover. It was the Greek goddess themed collection. I really did like their quality. So, and I do like the aesthetics of the brand quite a lot, because I am also someone who used to be a big anime fan when I was a kid, so I can like appreciate also the packaging that Manny does. But yeah, so the post doesn't have the release date yet, but this is a product that I will keep my eye on, and if this comes, also aside from Monolith shop, Boujee shop actually also does stock Lunar Beauty, and Boujee shop actually gets the releases faster. So especially if you're in Europe, I would maybe actually keep my eye on Boujee shop, because they usually get the Lunar Beauty releases the quickest. They do tend to sell out also quite quickly, so keep your eyes on the website. But just you know, a hint that if you're thinking that especially in Europe, that where you can get this brand from. If you live in States, definitely order from Manny's own website. And actually Manny said that there will be sort of an launching offer with this one. So if you buy these from Lunar Beauty's own website, there's 25, you can buy two blushes and then you get one shade for free, which I think it's actually quite a nice introductory order. But so far shade looks quite nice and could be something that I could be tempted into later on. So, I was right in my assessment. Glossgods did release a collection during summertime. This was something that I did, I think, discuss in the last video, makeup news video, which has been now like quite a long time when that came out. But they have done a second round from the Solomon collection. I'm gonna say now directly, when I saw this palette, I was thinking that I think the brand is a bit running out of ideas how they're doing their color story. So this color story, especially, let's first talk about the eyeshadow palette, then I go with the highlighters and blushes. So when I looked at this palette, I was thinking that those kind of shades look like the shades from their, like, if you take the shades from Angelica Nyqvist and Oden's Eyes Little Ghost palette that came out with the Halloween collection, it's a palette that I actually own. If you take the shades from the Little Ghost palette and then you take some of the pastel shades from one of the influencer palettes they did in the beginning of this year, and then take some of the shimmers they have done previously, because this color story, it really looks like a combination of some of the stuff that the brand has come out with, especially quite recently. Sure, there aren't like complete, I think even I watched Angie's own video of this and Angie was like saying that, oh, there aren't like perfect dupes, and obviously when she showed the swatches of, for example, her Little Ghost palette and the Solomon, this now second Solomon palette, of like, it was obvious that there aren't like shade to shade dupes, but they are very similar in terms of like like they are still pretty similar when you especially start looking at some of the previous releases. So I think with the Oden's Eye, especially with this one, it is showing that they are maybe a bit like, because they have at this point, the brand has been in business for quite some time, they have been pretty successful, and this is a brand that I do actually like quite a lot, but especially like since they have come out with so many palettes by this time, it is quite understandable at some point that the palettes are starting to look a bit similar. So for me the palette is a skip. Immediately when I saw this I was like, yeah, I don't need this. Then actually when I was thinking, and I did discuss in my cheek product declutter, if you have watched that video, I did discuss that I don't know what's the status of their current highlighters and blushes, but they are now doing an extension to that one. Unfortunately they aren't apparently restocking the old like blushes and not the old but the similar blushes that were in this compact that they released with the original Solomon collection a few years ago. And what I think especially is a bit bummed about this one is that because the new highlighters in this collection, I honestly saw now the influencers got this in pianos like that, those are like pure sparkle. So if you like a especially shimmer sparkle highlighter, then these highlighters are great, but I immediately thought, yeah, I'm not getting any of the highlighters because those are just, there's too much shimmer in them. That those like truly look that when you apply them to your cheek, some of them did for me at least look like that it's like directly putting a shimmer eyeshadow on your cheek rather than putting a highlighter. Then there's a blush. One of them is a shimmery blush and two of them are matte shades. I do think one of the blush shades looks very similar of the blush shade that was released in the first iteration of these blushes. It was the strawberry something that I actually also own, and then there's the one that's more of a hot pink, and then there's the shimmery blush. I will also say that the shimmery blush also looks like pure glitter instead of being like a just for like a more shinier blush. So if you like a super sparkly blush, then again this could be a formula for you. But yeah, altogether this just collection was, I was a bit meh because I was thinking that with the highlighter from like, yeah, okay, it's nice that if you want a super sparkly highlighter, that's cool. But then when I saw the blushes, I was like that the two blush shades, the one is more like a hotter pink, but it's still a pink, and then the other matte blush shade, it basically looked like the one blush shade that they already had in the range, and then one of them was like again a blush shade that could be, I don't understand why it's a blush shade, because for me it looked more like one of the highlighters in terms of the formulation. So for me this is altogether a collection that I immediately knew that, yeah, I'm gonna skip that one. This is already again available, so if you do like some of these products, you can order them now. Then we are getting to the last of the products. So Beauty Bay released their sort of summer limited edition palette. So this is called the Botanical palette, and This is actually one of the few palettes that I can say that I appreciate this one. Has a pretty unique color story, and that's saying something considering that I have been like watching makeup YouTube from year 2016 or 17. Of course, I haven't been making videos that long. I started out last year, but I have now seen quite a lot of like eyeshadow palettes, quite a lot of neutral eyeshadow palettes, quite a lot of colorful eyeshadow palettes, and this I'd say is a pretty unique. It is like a muted. I'd say again, if you are a person who wants to dabble into colorful shades, this could be a good option, and because this is Beauty Bay, the price of this is also pretty decent. I think this was like 19 euros was the price of this one. I'm a bit still on the fence about that. Do I want to order this, because with the last limited edition palette I had my main issue was that the shimmer formula of that one was a bit changed, and a lot of the shimmers were these very emollient, very like slippery, that creased on me quite easily, and based on the reviews that I've seen so far from this one, there seems to be quite a lot of those also in this particular palette. But yeah, pretty unique color story. I am quite like pretty like excited for the brand that they again managed to do something a bit more different, especially considering that this is more on the drugstore pricing, so this is accessible to more people compared to maybe some other brands. And considering that Beauty Bay themselves at this point have done a lot of, especially these bigger, more colorful palettes, it is quite like an achievement that they can still like do a more sort of an, they can still like pull out something new that doesn't feel that the brand has done like already like many times before. So kudos to them. This is at least something that even if I would end up not ever getting this one, I can appreciate this from afar, because this truly, and by the way, the product photography for this one was pretty awesome. If you go to their website or their social media, like also great work altogether. So our second last product, another indie palette. So Adept has finally revealed the Legend of Ardra palette. I'm not sure, someone comment down below, is this continuation to the Star Trek palette theme that they had, the sort of Sumerian Sunset palette from last year that I actually own. When I first saw the coverage of this, and I was like thinking that, oh god, that's gonna be an expensive purchase that I will be making in the future. So initially when I just saw the cover packaging that they teased, I think a few weeks ago, I saw that it's this beautiful pink peachy package, and I was thinking that if the color story is anything like the packaging inside, I'm gonna get this and it's gonna be expensive and my wallet is gonna cry, but it's just looked very beautiful. Then they finally revealed the insides of this palette, and I'm gonna have to now watch a few, because I have seen again that few people have gotten this from PR from the brand, because then I saw the insides of this one. I was thinking that where is the peachy, pinky, cloud-like theme that's in the front packaging, because when I'm looking at this one, yeah, there are some pink and peachy theme stuff here, so it is like there are definitely elements that this, like the packaging isn't like complete false advertisement when I look at this. But then you have these very random pops of like, especially these, I think the two deep blue matte shades are especially, or is that actually a purple? It's actually in swatch, the one of the shades looks like it's deep like matte purple, but anyway, the few like purple and blue shades that are quite dark, those are very much throwing me off. And the second thing that's throwing me off is the two like marble shades, because from the two marble shades that look to be also a bit blue leaning, I can't really tell like, even though this has the hand swatches, that what are those gonna look like in real life. So this is something that I'm gonna watch the reviews of, and well, in terms of my wallet, it's a good thing if I end up thinking that I don't want to spend, because these Adept palettes, especially these big ones, tend to be quite expensive. So this was something that I was very excited about, and then when I saw the insides of it, I was like, huh, okay, so they did that thing, and not so excited about this. I can like understand that they did maybe want to do maybe give this like a pop, which is a good thing, that it usually, if you do a pop of something bit different from the main color story, that's usually good. But I'm just thinking that the two especially dark matte shades, they could have maybe gone with some other pop shades for this one, because I think the dark purple and the dark blue are really throwing this off for me. So for the last product of the day, this is a shade extension. So Makeup by Mario has done a summer shade extension to his blushes, cream blushes, and then to these are those plumping lip veils. So these are the sort of Moisture Glow Plumping Lip Serum. So these are the more sort of glossy lip products that the brand has. Makeup by Mario, unfortunately, again, is a brand that's not that accessible to me. But I do actually have to say that I do kind of like actually the sort of pops of color. These are very like summer-esque. If this would be a brand that I would be able to buy, I do especially think that, well, I don't need another cream blush, so blush so pretty good that I can't get any of these. But the few of the cream blush shades are definitely looking pretty tempting. But if you like the brand, it says coming soon to Makeup by Mario's website and to Sephora, so keep your eyes out for Sephora's and the brand's own website. So these will, because these are summer shades, I do believe these will come out during July, so I don't think you will have to wait that long for these to come out. But yeah, that was the sort of last product that I had to discuss for this video. So those were all the products that I had for sort of this video, and as I said, I did have to do some like scaling back in terms of what to discuss about, because there's been such a long time from the previous video. But still, I think there's like a lot of interesting releases. As I said, a couple of releases that are, well, a few releases that I've already bought and a few that I am contemplating of buying. We are still definitely seeing, I think, a lot of like summer, definitely still seeing a lot of summer themed products, because I do believe now it has been a few years now that we have seen at worst already like first fall releases and even some holiday releases in July. Well, there's been the Dior collection that was like their fall collection, so we did have one fall release, and actually there is, I have seen this on Angel Naked One channel, I have seen one holiday release already, so Chanel's holiday highlighter has been leaked. You can go and dig to Reddit or social media to dig that out, but I refuse to future, like fall releases I can get because first fall releases come in August, so those I can future, but if I am seeing the first like Christmas releases, then I'm gonna draw the line, and I'm gonna do that like rule that until August we're not speaking about Christmas. I haven't even had my summer holiday yet. I'm gonna have it in a few weeks time where I'm actually going to be on a paid summer holiday, which is nice, but I refuse to future. Like, I love Christmas makeup. You probably, if you watch my how much holiday makeup I bought during the last Christmas season, I love Christmas collection and Christmas in general, but now it's still too early to discuss that one. But fall releases we are seeing, but we are still, like, as with the Makeup Mario launch, we are still also seeing some like mainly summer releases, so that's the sort of phase we are in the makeup market currently. But comment down below what have been the sort of makeup releases from the last, I think, past 3 to 4 weeks that you have been excited about, and what kind of products have you been buying, or are there products that you haven't been liking, or are you perhaps on a no buy currently. If you like this video, push the like button, ring the bell button if you want to get notifications from my future content, and subscribe to my channel. You can also find me with the same nickname, Makeup Hedgehog, on Instagram. I hope I will be seeing you in another video soon. Bye bye!